about the difference between the opposition and the government in its approach to the Resource Management Act. Because all this bill does is change 3 words. How many members of this House really believe that the complex issues about improving the Resource Management Act, an act that comes to over 600 pages, can be solved by changing 3 words? That's all it does. It is actually quite a commentary of where Labour was for their 9 years in government. Because despite all the problems with the Resource Management Act during their 9 years, they did so little that the 3 words they want to change in this bill really sums up their pathetic contribution to the challenges facing this nation around the effective management of our natural resources and around the effective delivery of infrastructure. The part I found most galling in this debate was hearing Labour's spokesperson on water issues deride about the deterioration of water quality in Canterbury. And I say to that member opposite, 9 long years Labour was in government. Tell me one single thing that Labour ministers did in their 9 years that made a difference to water management and quality. And what's even more extraordinary is the very specific issue that's dealt with in this bill, the requiring authority status that was given to Central Plains. What did Labour say in government when it acquired that power granted by David Benson Pope? And I would be happy to show members opposite the correspondence. Firstly, the Labour government's view at that time was that the Act was fine, that it worked well, that requiring authority status for Central Plains was entirely appropriate. Nowhere did Labour ever say or initiate any review of these provisions that it's now crying foul about. Now, it is the view of this government that in terms of requiring authority, designations and the way in which they work under the RMA, we should have a fresh look. And that is why this government established as part of the second phase of our resource management reforms an expert advisory group, not just looking at 3 words, for goodness sake, but actually taking a comprehensive look at the way those mechanisms work. And there is no confidence that I have that by changing these 3 words, which is nothing more than a political branding statement, not any practical solution to these issues, that we are going to answer those substantive questions. The last point I'd like to make is this. If there is anything that developed during the course of Labour's 9 years, it was a crisis around infrastructure. It doesn't matter whether it is roading infrastructure, whether it's water infrastructure, whether it's electricity infrastructure, that is the problem of my colleague Jerry Brownlee, and every one of those areas, telecommunications and the problems with broadband, in every single one of those areas the previous government failed. And what members opposite need to understand, if they're going to change these legal tests, have they thought through what it means about getting broadband for New Zealanders in every corner of the country, including those rural communities? Have members opposite thought about what these provisions mean about keeping the lights on in New Zealand? Have members opposite thought about what this bill means in terms of providing the transmission network that we need for our system? I did not hear a single word from members opposite about those issues, and members on this side of the House say this is not a job that can be done with 3 cheap words. It needs a comprehensive approach. That's what this government's taking. They had 9 years, they did nothing. members on this side of the House want to do the job properly. That's why we've got a technical advisory group working in the infrastructure area, providing comprehensive advice, and that is the correct way to deal with these complex issues.
I regret to advise the member that his